Down by the water, maybe I'm the sun, maybe I'm a daughter when the music man calls. That's when I gotta play. So I burn for the things I never had. I'm burning with hate, with love. Spin around, round. 'Cause as a boy I had a dream. Carry it with me today. Yes, I do. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the walls come tumbling down, I'll be there. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the world comes tumbling down, I'll be there. Hey, 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 hey. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way the music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the lands of the new. Oh, na 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 na. Seems to me that I have lost my old friend. Got the sunset off the highway again. Then I get lost on a long summer day. I must go back before it's too late. You're afraid, you're feeling alone. Time and space can never unfold. The holidays can ring in your fear. The ghost embrace can only mean tears. And I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back for lands of the new. Oh, na 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 na. Sitting at the lake, I'm feeling confused, but I had my guitar, so I played this blues. But I'm afraid, what might be true, that I might never be back again. Someone to take me down at night. Someone to make my day. New revelation fills my soul. Oh, I can waste away. You distracting my attention. You're all that's on my mind. You not looking for perfection, but you're too hard to find. Now the first night is coming, and I know what to do. You know that nothing feels sweeter than someone I need to taste your life again. I need a rendezvous. New revelation just feel my soul. Beginning and ends with you. Distracting my attention. You're all that's on my mind. You not looking for perfection, but you're too hard to find. Now the first night is coming, and I know what to do, yeah. You know that nothing feels sweeter than someone else, yeah. Now the first night is coming, and I know what to do, yeah. She knows that nothing feels sweeter than someone else. Yeah, alone it seems funny that I end up with you, yeah. You know that nothing feels sweeter than someone else. Yeah, 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 you. Oh, you. Yeah, you. All right. Hey, yeah. Where did my color go? Got your head in the sand. You can't be in control, using a powerful hand. I wanna be you, I wanna see you. Don't taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to tell me, don't try to say it's too late. You're gonna push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your Cat learns to ring a bell. Rat gets free from the maze. We can be taught to love. We've got to learn a new way. I wanna be, taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to sell me, don't try to say it's too late. Yeah, you're gonna push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hide in a corner, it's black and white and blue. Black and white and blue. Yeah. I wanna see, don't taste the kisses of hate. Don't try to tell me, don't try to sell me, don't try to say it's too late. Push me to the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hiding in a color, it's black and white and blue. Yeah, black and white and blue. You're gonna black and white on the edge, back me in a corner, making me stand in your shoes. Push me to the edge, hiding in a color, it's black and white and blue. Black and white and blue. Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way the music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the lands of the new. Oh, na 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 na. When I get lost on a long summer day, I must go back before it's too late. You're afraid, you're feeling alone. Time and space can never unfold. The holidays can ring in your fear. The ghost-stream embrace can only mean tears. And I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back for the lands of blue. Oh, na 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 na. At the lake, I'm feeling confused, but I had my guitar, so I played this blues. But I'm I'm afraid what might be true, that I might never be back again. Seems to me that I have lost my way. Catch the sunset off the highway again. Then I get lost all alone summer day. I must be back before it's too late. Before it's too late. What have I done? Ooh, what have you seen? Early at night, got in the fight, in the candlelight, looking through the screen. Now what have I done? What have you seen? You know there's no future in life when a person has come in between. Jamie's gone, Jamie's gone. Can't look back and now he feels so strong. Jamie's gone, Jamie's gone. Left last night and now it's been so long. What have I done? What have you seen? There was nothing to say, took her away, and I feel the pain, made love in pain. Oh, oh, what have I done? What have you seen? She knows there's no future in life when a person has come in between. Jamie's gone, Jamie's gone. Can't look back and now he feels so strong. Jamie's gone, Jamie's gone. Left last night and now it seems so long.
Hello, everybody. Yo, what's up? Look at all the 26 people that are on at the beginning of the show. How's it going, everybody? We be here again for another Wednesday night. And first of all, I got to apologize to everybody. I think I might have said last Wednesday that Nico was coming on a week from that night, and that is incorrect. It's been September 16th all along. If you look at the graphic that goes on every week, if I did say Wednesday, I apologize about that to our viewers. So it is this Friday. So in 2 days, he will be on. Before we get on to business of the night, for those of you that are in the chat, first of all, thank you everybody for being avid followers and avid watchers and all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much. But please, can you please do me for everybody's on the show is a valued member of this community, and the negative commentary in the chat, it needs to stop. We are all here for a good reason, and there was stuff said to Scott in particular right now that was not kind, and it needs to stop. So please, everybody, we're all family. We are all fun. We're here for a good time, and there's no place for that kind of commentary. So if you have something nice to say it. If you have nothing nice to say, keep it to yourselves, please. If you want to text me and you want to BS to me personally, knock yourselves out. But you know what? It's not has any place in the public forum. So please, that being said, let's move on. And again, Scott, because of the chat and because it's a show,
everybody's picking on me.
Yeah, well, you know, you're an easy target,
Charlie
Scott.
Brown.
Scott, you're an easy target. so be nice. Just be nice, be kind, and that's what we do, and that's what we're here, and we love doing this, and we're all here, and we do it every week. And unless if you're not doing something like this every week or twice a week for 3 years, then please keep the comments to a nice little area.
Let's have some fun, guys. Let's have some fun.
Yeah. So that being said, we do have some new guests to talk about that have been slated. We got to talk a little bit about. I know I'm imaging tonight. I think Eric's getting ready to image, and we all know Scott's never imaging, and Pete's just exhausted. So you know, hey, you know, we're here and we're going to be doing this, and yeah.
And by the way, I have been working on my Nina setup for my rig. There's just absolutely nothing that I can do outside right now. I mean, the rain down here is crazy.
Yeah,
it's
nuts. You know, and you're not the only person that's been complaining about that. And for those of you that don't know, and you know, that aren't, you know, weekly watchers of the show that are watching now, Scott lives in Florida, and right now, Florida, it's the rainy season, and
every day.
Yeah, and like it's the land of the 4 o'clock thunderstorm, and that's, you know, and it just comes down. And I am sure that, you know, I can probably count at least 5 or 6 shows where either Scott got booted off because the electricity storm knocked off his internet, or you could hear the thunder and the rain pattering in Scott's lanai.
Thank you.
that is so loud you could hear it over his microphone. So you know, we're looking at a good winter for Scott, and hopefully that we can see some images come out of the wet season, October, November, and forward, that we could enjoy those.
Yeah, the loop that I live in, that it's maybe the whole loop is maybe a half a mile. If you walk it all the way around, maybe a half a mile. And in that loop, the 30 or 40 houses that make up that loop, there were 3 trees in like the last month that got hit by lightning.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. It's crazy.
Like,
we need it.
Yeah, I mean,
we need it.
Scott. Bring it over.
Yeah, Scott's got the rain. Pete's got the fire. Eric's got the wind, and I just got Portal 9. so
wait a minute. It's official. Eric Scott wins.
No, Eric blows wind.
Okay, we're on.
Eric's full of wind because the Bears won.
It's different within if you're in these four squares, like the Hollywood squares. That's they all joke on each other, so it's okay on the
smear the love in here.
I'm like Paul Rubens in the middle. Okay, so I think I'm dating myself now, but anyway.
I was dating myself just earlier with Benny Hill.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Benny Hill and Rowan and Martin's laughing, and we could even go back as far as the Jackie Gleason show and Amos and Andy if you want to, but we can keep on going all the way back. Oh, you're right. It was Paul Lind in the middle. I'm sorry, my fault. It was Paul Lind. Somebody got me. Somebody got me.
King of the one-liners, man.
Yep. Paul Lind. No, my favorite was the unknown comedian on the Gong Show.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yep.
All it was this guy with a bag on his head.
Bag on his head. That's freaking awesome.
But anyway, we're gonna go off the rails really early. So let's get back to the show and let's talk about the sponsors and all of our beginning duties here. So let's do that real quick because we do have some stuff going on. All right.
What are we looking at?
You can't. Yeah, you can't see that. It is literally pouring rain right now. Pouring.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And tonight is the giveaway for the Charles Bracken books, by the way. So, but we'll get to that in a second. But thank you for Woodland Hills for their contribution to the show. They give us money to give away to the membership, and hopefully a semi-fabulous prize in December. So we're looking forward to that. And if you want to join any of these giveaways, feel free to go to astroworldweb.com and sign up. It's right on the front page. Just scroll down to the bottom. Red Giant level, we have Prima Luce, Camera Concepts, and Optolong. We're still giving away Optolong filters every last Friday of the month. And I believe the next one's the L Extreme, if I remember right. So that's going to be a lot of fun to give away. After that, almost every Friday night, with the exception of one we do with the Optolong, we give away Masters of PixInsight classes. And if you missed it on Tuesday, you can purchase it yourself. But Tuesday restarted the PixInsight for newbies. And it kicks off a 7-part series of noise reduction, dialing up the detail, masks unmasked, amongst others. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. But it's really good to go in there and have that basics or that foundation laid, because masks, noise reduction, and curves and all that is all the basics of what we do. So they really go into that and deep dive on that. And IP for AP, which is another great tool for not only PixInsight, but Photoshop. And they have a lot of great tutorials on that. We give away yearly subscriptions for them as well. So that's $99 a year. So that's a nice little prize as well. We also can't do this without any of our member sponsors. Our highest level is the Quasar members. So thank you for the Quasar members. Next, with our Black Hole members. And it's now 5 slides, so I got to go through them a little faster than I normally do. Red Giant members are growing. And I got to say, sorry to Corin Lewis, because I sent his package to his address is, I believe, 61, and I sent it to 81. and he got it, but it was just a little late. So I apologize, Corin. I must have typed it in a little too fast, but I'm glad you got it. Main sequence members as well, White Dwarf members, which is our next level down, and our Protostar members. So thank you. If you want to become a member sponsor and you like what we do and you'd like to contribute to the show, please join our Patreon membership on Patreon. And it's AstroWorld TV on Patreon. So thank you for everybody. September 16th, which is this Friday, we have Nebula Photos, Nico Carver coming on and hanging out with us. Looking really forward to that and to asking him some questions because he is going to be a lot of fun. I've never met him. I'm looking forward to meeting him tomorrow night on the dry run, but on Friday night with everybody. So I'm looking real forward to that. Followed by November 9th is the return of Dr. Christian Sass and iTelescope. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Haven't booked the one that's coming up next, but we're going to be doing a threesome, a little menage in probably November with Dr. Christian Sass, Max Whitby, and Charles Bracken. It's going to be quite interesting. I see Eric's face and said, "What did he say?"
That's a hat trick.
It's a hat trick. Yeah. A little We've never had 3 guests at one time. We've had, so it's going to be a lot of fun with that. So, and again, Astropalooza, 3 guests, not 3 people, three guests. We've never had 3 guests. We've had up to 7 people and 1 guest, but we haven't had 3 guests. So it's going to be interesting. December 10th is going to be Astropalooza. I'm sending out letters to everybody I know to get involved, vendors, speakers, everything. If anybody has anything to talk about or wants to present that's on the show, please feel free to contact me at dan@astroworldweb.com. Let me know how much time you need. Let me know what you want to talk about, and we'll get that going, and I'll put you on the agenda. It's also going to a bunch of other YouTubers and vendors, and hopefully we can get some door prizes. So it's going to be sick. It's going to be like 4 or 5 hours. It's going to be out of control. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's going to be on Saturday, December 10th. So maybe we'll have some nice door prizes for Christmas. Be nice. And then, of course, check us out on our other social media platforms, Discord, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. And that being said, that is all I got for that. And we are back to the 4 Up. And we are back to the show. So, got a lot of stuff going on. Yep. It's nice to be back on the. It seems like the last couple of weeks since our vacation, we're kind of like easing back into it a little bit, And now it seems like we're back in full swing. So it's nice to be back.
Woo!
That's good.
Now, we have a giveaway coming up, right? That the giveaway is for the L Extreme or the L Ultimate. It was the L Extreme.
No, the L Extreme is the last Friday of the month. But tonight we are giving away the 2. We're doing 2 spins of the wheel tonight for the autographed copies, which are right here. Of the Astrophotography Planner, and it's autographed by Charles Bracken. Wishing you clear skies, Charles Bracken. And the Astrophotography Sky Atlas, both written by Charles and both autographed by Charles. This says wishing you clear skies as well, Charles Bracken. The only thing I do ask, because shipping has become more and more expensive, the only thing I ask is a little donation for shipping. Other than that, it's free. And whoever wins, I'll send a PayPal invoice for the shipping. And then once I get the invoice paid, it'll go out. But that's the only thing. Anything that's a tangible item, including filters or anything from now on, is going to be a shipping and handling charge, because it's just we're doing this for free. So, we send out a lot of prizes that are tangible goods. You know,
Yeah.
and it's hitting me in the pocket, and you know, it's a little bit more than I expected. So I need to start charging on
It's a fair
shipping on.
ask.
I don't think anybody cares, but you know what? I mean, it's an autograph book for it's gonna if you're in the United States, it's gonna be $7. If it's but if it's the Netherlands, it's like 25. So
Yeah. With this whole upcoming strike and everything else that's happening, it's shipping and just getting things across the country or
yeah,
all over
it's
else.
more expensive than
It's
than
getting more
normal.
and more expensive. So it is what it is.
Yeah. So I just want to look and see if my imaging, because I'm imaging the Cave Nebula tonight. And
Just a
Okay.
shout out 404. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun helping getting those people evacuated with their livestock. So
yeah,
no,
so
no.
we did mention it on the show when you missed it. For those of you that missed it, Pete was out helping. The reason why he wasn't on the show, he was out helping the citizens of California. Actually, Pete, why don't you talk about it? Why people tell what you did.
What it is it's this mosquito fire. It took off here last Wednesday, and it literally just exploded within 2 days. And so there's a two little towns called Volcanoville and Forest Hill, and it's basically in this remote little area where we've got the middle fork of the American River. So literally, what happened is they were literally the call went out. Anybody that's got trucks, vehicles that can help evacuate, taking care of livestock, trailers, horse trailers, loading up, and just being able to move anything to help these people just to be able to evacuate the fire. So they've actually had some fire. They've had some structures burn in Volcanoville. They were able to literally just have minor damage in Forest Hill. And now the fire is moving up into a northeast direction, where it actually is going up into a burn scar area from a fire 5 years ago called the King Fire. So they're kind of forcing it in that direction. So there's really nothing to burn up there because it's nothing but just granite rock. It's part of what they call the Rubicon Trail that people do for 4x4 Jeep excursions. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, right now it's at 15% containment, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks, they'll have that up to 45 to 50%. And then we're hoping to get some rain. There's a little bit of a front coming through that we might get 0.2 of an inch of rain. But anyway, we'll take any kind of rain we can get. But Captain, thank you very much for the compliment. It was a pleasure to go out there and help people. So
Now, did you meet up with Steve or?
Oh no. What I just saw that he paid a compliment, so I just wanted to thank him very much for the compliment.
Because I don't know where Steve lives. I thought he lived in that area, and I could be wrong. But Steve, feel free to say if you were there as well. But it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It seems to me like last year we had the Caldor fire, which was 250,000 acres. This year now it's the mosquito fire, and it's at 50,000 acres. And
North Carolina.
It's I don't know. It's just anybody who doesn't believe in climate change. I hate to tell you this, you guys are really thinking you might be flat earthers because there really is something here. It's something really going on.
Yeah.
So as I said, it was definitely well worth helping people. So we're all good to go.
Absolutely, and because you did that, and I'm not trying. I'm not a. Let me start by saying I'm not a one-upper because I would never try and do that with anybody. But it really reminded me of the time 9/11, and just because we just went through the 21st anniversary of that, and I was one of the guys that I don't know if anybody knows this, but McDonald's has a rescue trailer that what they do, they did it with Katrina, they did it with a bunch of flood zones in Mississippi, they did it whatever, but what they did was they drove that trailer down to Chambers Street, which is in the area of 9/11. It's in the financial district, and we were there cooking for the workers that were putting out the fires and risking their lives. God forbid one of these buildings fell on them. Not only doing when it was a search and rescue mission, but when it was a recovery mission, that I was there for 48 hours, a weekend and a half after the event. So I think it was like the 21st, 22nd, somewhere around there. But I was there as well, and it kind of reminded me of kind of that thing. It's the fire and brimstone that you see. It's kind of it's shocking. It's shocking.
Yeah. You know, as you said, truly, really, we should all be in great gratitude for what these first responders do, whether they be firefighters, policemen. I mean, what
Absolutely.
these people do. I mean, even these helicopters. I mean, these water tanker vehicles or the planes that drop the retardant. I mean, my God, hats off to what these people do. It's just above and beyond the call of duty, and especially, you know, we see what's going on in the world today, and we kind of look at not the social graces of people treating people not in the best of means, but boy, when times come where it's a crisis, it's funny how people come together to help one another. I have to say that's something that maybe it's just hardwired in us. I'm hoping it is, but it really appeared to be a hardwired response that we all came together to help these people out.
You know, and if we could just take a second, and this is our first show since the 21st anniversary of 9/11. If we could just take, like a 30-second just time out, and we just go dark for about 30 seconds and just have a moment of silence just for the 9/11. And I lost somebody in 9/11. I know many other people have. And I just think it's important that we just kind of pay tribute to them and all the people that worked and died that day. So we just do that. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
but that,
for sure.
yeah, I mean, it's super important that we kind of do that. It's important. So,
Yeah. So couple things that I know you're imaging right now, Dan. I'm
Finally.
actually doing
2 days in a row.
Yeah. I'm actually doing calibration frames. So I finally got my paper. Finally went ahead and bought some paper. Some
you bought some
the
paper?
translucent. Yeah, some translucent paper to take my flats instead of using the t-shirt method. I bought some nice translucent paper. So
now
it seems to
maybe you should
really
explain
nice
to the people why you actually had to buy translucent paper. So,
well, from what I've been reading, it works very, especially with having light panels, and sometimes my light panel, if I go either very dim or anything like that, I will get LED lines on it, which aren't very favorable. So this way I can boost up the luminance on my flat panel. And with this translucent paper, it's almost like, you're having those flat boxes and everything, because it'll even out your, it helps even things out on your flats. So instead of versus the t-shirt method, which, can sometimes not be, it's effective. Don't get me wrong. The t-shirt method is effective. You can make really good flat frames out of it. I just feel maybe going this step with the translucent paper, I can get a much more even calibration frame, flat frame, right? So spent the 15, 20 bucks. I was just lazy and just didn't get around to getting it, but I finally went ahead and got it. And now I'm using it, and it seems to be working quite nicely. So that's one of the reasons why I got it. It was really, so I can take better calibration frames, and that's the name of the game, it's to try, to get the best data that you possibly can. And along with that, try to make the best calibration frames that can go along with it, in my opinion.
Good. That's awesome, because you know what, and You know, we talk about this on the show quite a bit as far as calibration frames is concerned, and flats. I mean, guys, you know, feel free to kind of jump in, but flats to me is usually one of the last calibration frames that people actually finally say, "Hey, you know, I think I need to take flats." And
Mhm.
I think it's the last thing. I know it was the last thing for me. I was like, ah, flats, who needs them? We'll just crop it. It's fine. And you lose, you could potentially lose a lot of the frame if you don't do, you know, proper calibration with flats, because all your gradient, your uneven illumination from the corners, depending on your chip size and your image circle and all that stuff that we've spoken about, you could have darkness all in the corners, and you could kind of
Yes.
fix that. And you know, flats are an integral part of calibration frames and have been for quite a while.
Yep, for sure. And now, you know, and you and when I was using my T-shirt, and it's for some reason I was getting a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily call it vignetting or anything like that, but I would get a lot of, you know, dark area around the corners and everything that just didn't look right. And it was really, really weird. And suddenly now with me using the paper, I don't have that. It looks really, really even, you know, and I
Yeah.
don't know if that had to do with the t-shirt, you know, and doing that. I have no idea. But now that I've tried, you know, I've got this paper and I've been doing it now, everything's been evening out. So that's all I can think of. It was
Well,
maybe something
you know,
with
the
that
funny
t-shirt
thing
or
with
something. I have
the
no idea.
t-shirt method is great, and everybody feel free to jump in. The t-shirt method is great when you're sitting in there and you need to kind of diffuse things and whatever. But there are a couple of things. If that t-shirt isn't taut all the way across evenly, you may be
Mhm.
pulling a quarter of the shirt too much, where it thins it out a little bit, where the bottom right is, you know, the top right is thinned out and the bottom left is too thick because you didn't pull it the same tightness as the other. You could do a couple of things, but with the paper, it's the same coverage across your entire LED, you know, so it dims it out to the point evenly, I think. I mean, that may just be
Yeah.
me kind of thinking about it, but that's my thoughts on that. But I
Yeah.
could be wrong.
The paper, I think someone was asking me what kind of paper. I bought it off of Amazon. It's called vellum. It's called vellum paper. It's a translucent paper.
If you have the link,
That
send it to me on Messenger and I can put it in the chat.
Sure, yeah, no problem. But yeah, it's just very simple translucent paper that was, you know, it's really inexpensive. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send it to you over Messenger.
One of the advantages that I have as a photographer, you know, is that I also have access to, you know, ideas when it comes to diffusing light, you know, because I have to use light and you know, artificial light and flash and so on and so forth, and a lot of things that I do. One of the things that you can also consider, because Dan makes a good point, you know, the cloth t-shirt, if you pull it too tight, you can thin it out, but there are other alternatives. Matter of fact, I've got one right here that I pulled up. This is something that I have a couple of these, and they work fairly well, actually. Let me just get to. Hopefully, I can do this. There we go.
Yeah, the diffuser socks.
Yep.
Yeah, I was kind of questioning those. They might work very well for like our Schmitz.
Yep.
Because you know they can get really tight, but those smaller aperture scopes, I don't know if do they make them that small to support that. I know they have different sizes. There's a 7-inch, but do they get smaller than that?
Yeah, typically in photography, if you go smaller than about 7-inch, you're into plastic covers.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So the smallest that I've seen is like 6 to 7-inch. But the nice thing about these is that you can't stretch these like you can a t-shirt. These are fairly, even though they're flexible, you know, but they won't pattern out like a piece of t-shirt material will. You know, these are they're a nylon type based product.
Gotcha.
So you see that there. That like that's like one of my monolights. The cover that goes on the monolight. You can see how that could fit on a refractor. You could get that to go over a refractor pretty easily. And the elastic that's on these things it's pretty rigid. I mean, it's tough. You put that over that, even if you were to throw just another, you know, elastic around it, it would work just fine. I've got a couple of these and they work great. So just a thought.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of suggestions on the chat.
Yeah, there's lots of different suggestions for sure.
You know, anything that you could do so it's not a center bright light, that it's diffused across the whole, that diffuses the light across your whole sensor, will work fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you really just want an even illumination across the entire sensor. With not only will let you get rid of all that vignetting, but will also highlight all your dust donuts and, God forbid, you have fingerprints. So anything like that, you know, can be negated with the flats that you would take with this nice even illumination. And by mathematics, and if I could be wrong, I believe it's a division aspect of the flat. It divides it against your lights in order to take it out. It doesn't subtract it, it divides it.
Yeah,
But,
averages it out.
That's not, it's a division thing. It's not the flats are in a master. It's an average of all the individual flats, but when it gets applied to the lights, it's in a division structure.
Oh, okay. I see what
So
you're saying.
yeah, Ernie said it was division. So good thing. And you know, every once in a while, I got these little nuggets that, you know, I kind of showed that I know I'm not a complete moron, and you know. But yeah, but you know, it's super important to take flats, and I really wish that I started taking flats a lot earlier in my astrophotography journey than I did, because I didn't start taking flats till very, very, very late. I am talking within the last 5 or 6 years that I just didn't do it. I didn't know any other astrophotographers, and see, some of the astrophotographers I know, and not all of them, but some of the ones that I were friendly with, it's like you're baking a cake with secret ingredients, and they don't want to they want to help you, but they don't want to help you too much to be better than they are. And it's kind of like this thing. They're not doing it to be mean, but it's like self-preservation, the survival of the fittest.
Why
is this a kind of thing going on?
Are we in a competition like a $1.3 billion lottery prize or something? What the heck?
Yeah, it's like,
are we you know, are we protecting state secrets?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of,
no,
you know,
why why be that way?
You know, it's one thing to be discreet about the specifics. It's like, how much Thousand Island dressing goes in the Big Mac sauce? You're not really going to say that, but you know what? You know what the whole thing is. You may not be forthcoming on X, Y, and Z, but you say, hey, listen, the flats are important. This is why you should do it. Or darks are important. This is why you should do it. And if somebody would have told me that 20 years ago, I probably would be a lot better with my processing than I am at this point. But it's definitely one of the things that are out there. I see my buddy Dave Barnett is out there. Logan, Ernie, Dylan, Newman. Hello, Newman. Stu. All these people out there. So thank you all for watching. We kind of talking about calibration frames. We do have a presentation regarding the Pete put together something which I'm going to be presenting, and Pete's going to be answering questions for regarding the equatorial systems. And then we could either do it tonight or we could do it on the following Friday. Depends. But we have a lot of stuff to go through tonight. So
yeah,
welcome everybody. And did I just escape out? Yes.
How with a Rasa? Rich Hubley is asking how with a Rasa, how to take flat frames with a Rasa?
The garbage can.
Yeah,
you got to
really
get a metal dew shield.
Yeah, it's it.
Eric's got one. I know Eric's got one. So basically, it's fun. It's a funny situation because with a Rasa, your camera is in front of the tube. So how do you balance a light panel on a camera a little bit bigger than a baseball? You know what I mean? So, and this is how you do it. Eric's going to show us right now because he has everything right now. So what he has in his hand is a aluminum dew shield.
Yep.
Right?
And
yep.
And it looks like he's got his spiker flat there.
Yep. So this is an aluminum dew shield.
You can tell it's got the CGE notch on it where it fits right the dovetail.
Yep. So it's dual sided because that's what I have for my Rasa. This particular one doesn't have the notches for the Rasa. That's over on my other one. I didn't want to grab that one, but this is just a quick example. And you have your flat panel here, and it's very simple. That point to zenith.
Oof.
There you go.
Done. You cover the garbage can with the light panel.
Yep. So, get, translucent paper, your T-shirt, or whatever other method you want to use for, any type of opacity to add on to your flat panel to even out your flats. But yeah, that's basically it. Just point to zenith, fire that bad boy up. There you go. So.
The basic thing is to remember just to get the flat panel to be able to sit on top that you're higher than your camera. And that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And with something like this, you're definitely higher than your camera, So this works with Rasa and Hyperstar. Doesn't matter which one. They're basically the same.
Yeah, and the nice thing about the AstroZap aluminum dew shields is that they have a very tight nap black felt that is lining inside those the dew shields, and that it's completely anti-reflective.
Very nice, very soft, very nice felt.
Yeah, the big thing on that is that it is completely anti-reflective.
It puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again. So Dave Barnett is talking in the basket. Hey, let's watch the language. But Dave is talking about, if you're in a permanent site and you're able to put your flat panel on a tripod, you can make your home position pointed towards the tripod, turn on the flat panel, and it'll always be in the same spot.
For sure.
And that's another situation for those of you people that are in a permanent situation, because
I don't know how well you can see that. Can you see that?
Nope, I see bright light. Bright light. I don't know what that is. What am I looking at?
This here is. It was a.
Now I see what you're doing. You got like the shirt over the tube with a strap. And
that's got this one here is a LED panel that it's a flash panel that I use for photography, and it's a color controlled panel, and it worked great, for doing flash. Before I bought the spiker flat, but and then the other one was of course the telescope with the T-shirt over it, and that worked okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. Spica flat's a much better way to go.
Yeah, so AZ Astro. So with the depending on what you buy, with the flexible dew shields,
Mhm.
and depending what size scope
Don't do it.
that you have, that
Don't do
flexible dew shield
Don't do
may
it.
not be able to hold the weight of that light panel, because that light panel might I mean, forget about it. Yeah, that's
There ain't no way.
that's going to either slide down and smash or fall apart or whatever.
Yeah,
Now,
Don't do it.
if you have like a C6, maybe if you got a little, as long as it's not a spica flat, if it's a little dinky thing that works, or a tracing panel, that'll work.
Tracing panel, something like that, that might work.
But if you have a spica flat on that, I mean, it's going to
No
go.
way.
Or a spica flat,
Or
maybe
it's gonna
one
fall
of
off
those,
and break.
Yeah.
Yeah, or those Pegasus Astro flat panel types.
The flat masters.
They're too flat masters. They're too heavy. So don't risk that. Now, to your point, if you had one of those or those lighter Amazon tracing pads or something like that, thinner tracing pads, then yeah, I think this would work just fine. But my question then also would be, how comfortable are you as far as, do you want to put a T-shirt over this or some? I would recommend maybe if you have some 12 by like this stuff here. This is 12 by 12 that'll be able to go over this. Then you could put that on there for some opacity, and to help even things out. Just an idea, stuff like that.
I got to apologize, everybody. I went quiet for a second because I had to move my guide star on the other side of the telephone line because my object is skirting the telephone line. I don't see the telephone line because the field of view is narrow at 819 millimeters, but at 242 millimeters, the Evo guide, if I remember right, you see the telephone line. So the telephone line goes right through the field of view. So I got to kind of move my guide star, and now it's on the left side of the telephone pole. So now I'm good for the rest of the night. So I just had to change that.
There you go.
And we'll lower that down. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've checked on AstroZap. Have they been able to get? Did anybody know if they're able to get product to people any faster? I mean, it took 9 months for me to get that freaking shield.
Well, with the metal shields, it takes more time. With the flexible shields, and dew straps, they're fine.
Yeah, I know the metal ones are.
It's the metal ones that are sometimes having it, and even Celestron is having an issue with their new aluminum dew shields for their ring system, their dew heater ring system. Getting those out. There's the supply chain is getting better, but it's still no way near how it was before pre-COVID. You know what I mean? It's not there yet, but it is getting a lot better. I mean, there's less and less ships waiting in the Pacific Coast. Just trying to drop off shipping containers. The price of shipping containers is starting to decrease slightly.
But
I know.
Unfortunately, right now with all that happening, we're about to have a major rail strike. So who knows? It could all change. There's just a lot of stuff going on.
That's all internal. That's U.S. That's all.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, just to get the product to us.
Oh yeah. Everyone's going to be starting to drive the RAV4s cross country to get a video card. But
I know Celestron's coming out of China. A lot of their stuff is coming out of China, but I think AstroZap, all of their stuff is manufactured in Texas, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right, but it's also the acquiring of the materials that they need, and those materials that they have are not necessarily made in the U.S.
Yeah.
So there you go. So yeah, that Dave Barnett is is echoing your railroad strike comment.
Yeah.
You know, and that's going to be an issue if those containers will get off the ships and just stay there and never make it on a train. But
Exactly, it's going to make things a lot harder.
Hopefully.
And then I started hearing. I don't want to get too far into this, but I started hearing because of the strike from the trains. A lot of truckers and trucking unions won't cross over and try to screw over the train unions. So it's going to be a logistics nightmare pretty soon. So we'll just keep an eye on it.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway.
Yep.
So what exactly are you imaging, Dan?
So I have my list. This is my list, and I know you can't see what it says. Because even if you were able to see what it says, you would need a master, decoder ring in order to kind of figure out my handwriting. So I'm doing.
You sure you're not a doctor?
Well, if I am,
you've got the handwriting to match it already.
Let me go get my little Orphan Annie decoder ring. Hold on a second.
I am making about like 1/8 of what I should be making. So no, unfortunately, I am not a doctor, although I play one on TV. So
Dr. Dan.
No, it's Lieutenant Dan. I got new legs. So this is the list of the Astrophotography meets Dungeons and Dragons montage that I've been working on. And here's the thing. I've been talking about this for about a year now, and I've always had a kind of plan, but I never kind of dropped it on paper. And let me tell you, you know what? Any plan isn't worth anything if it's not written down somewhere, some way, in your phone, on a paper, whatever, piece of toilet paper, I don't care. But it should be written down, because if it's out of sight, out of mind, unless you have a photographic memory, which I do not, I need things written down. And I figured that early in life, and it's a shame that I didn't do this a lot earlier in this routine. But here we go. So, and I'm going to throw this out to the group, the chat, and to the panel. If there's anything I've missed in here that has to do with D&D that needs to be replaced with something, please feel free. I'll take it under advisement. So one of the objects is the flying bat in September and October, and that's going to be a 2x2 mosaic with the 80 millimeter. So that's something I'm going to be doing. Followed by the Medusa Nebula with the AP scope, the Owl Nebula, the Ring Nebula, and I'm going to do it in narrowband. What?
Why the owl? Why the owl?
Owl in D&D? What are you talking about? Plenty of owls in D&D. It's a familiar. What are you doing?
Owl. There, it's not necessarily the flying. Well, I don't know if they do fly in D&D. I can't remember.
The fly?
But I know the owl reference that he's making.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, again, if
you don't remember, Eric,
if you think of something better, I would be happy to slide it in there in place of the owl. It's small, it's obscure, it's a little thing, but I was reaching for things. So, the wizard, which I finished, the cave, which I'm doing now, SH2-114, which is the flying dragon, Eagle Nebula.
Yep.
I threw in I had to throw in a dark nebula. I had to throw in one. So I threw in Barnard 72, which is the Snake Nebula. Followed by, lastly, and I'm only doing 9 because it fits like the 9 squares, and then the middle would be 10, and that would be the logo. But followed by the Witch Head, which will be another mosaic. So if I'm missing anything there or something that, go to the sun. See, unfortunately, Dave, You know, Dave says due to fighting dragons of Ara. Yes, we know that. This has been a thorn in our side. Oh wait, he's got an idea. I see him going, no.
In July, August, you go down and visit Scott. Scott sets up his scope, and that's what you end up taking, the Fighting Dragons of Ara. Scott will finally get his scope up, and that's what you take. So there you go. You got to go on a vacation down to Florida and go visit Scott.
Well,
is it
Eric?
Is it that is it high enough
In Florida,
you know, as far
in Florida,
I'm at 28 degrees.
Yeah, but I'd have
Florida.
to look at to see what altitude the Fighting Dragons are in Florida. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be high enough. I think it's going to be like Omega Centauri in New York. You know,
you get it in Florida because right now where I can't get it where I'm at because it's right there in the muck at 30 degrees on horizon, and it's just muck. But where you keep going down to Florida, you'll be able to get it because it'll be close to about 40, 45 degrees. So you'll be fine.
Really? All right. Well, you know what? I plan on going. Now, this is a plan. This may not work, you know, but as of right now, the plan is I'm going to be all over the country in 2023. I am going to be crazy traveling. And my first trip in 2023 is going to be going down to the Keys and going to Winter Star Party in February. So that is my first trip, I think, you know, and I'm gonna drive down there and I'm gonna make this happen because I've been dying to go there for 30 years. I've been dying to go there. And if I don't do it now, I'm almost dead as it is. So you know, it's time to do it. So Scott's like, but if I don't do it now, I'm going to be too old to do it. So I want to do it while I'm good to go. And you know, and then I want to go to Okie-Tex this year. I want to go to Nevada Star Party in Valentine, and a couple other places. Obviously Cherry Springs once or twice, and you know, that's what that's my wonderful plan in my head. Whether that comes to fruition in reality, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, poolside, it is low, but when you get down to the Keys, I mean, you got to remember the Keys are 8 hours from me.
Yeah, 8 hours.
And I'm in Florida. I'm in Florida. You know, the Key West is a long way from me.
Key West is at about 21.
Yeah, it's a long way down.
If I remember right.
I mean, you can just about skip a rock and hit Cuba from Key West.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The problem is Dan goes down there with that intent, but he'll get caught up in the Duval crawl. He'll start at Mallory Square and work his way all the way up. So he's never going to image. Yeah. It'll be Dan's version of the Duval crawl.
I'll be like whatchamacallit. What was it?
He'll be at Hemingway's. They let him go to Hemingway's. He won't leave Hemingway's. He'll be right there.
He'll be like Strange Brew. I said, I'm going stargazing. I'm doing in 3B. 3 beers and it looks good, you know. So you know,
all right.
But you know, that's my plan, and I really hope that, you know, I want to bring my wife with me. I want to do family trips like this, and I think that you know we're in our early 50s, and I think it's time to enjoy things a little bit. So I mean, let's do it together. So
for sure,
that's the plan. So
as long as you come west and down to me. And then you take the coast. Take the coast, Gulf side, all the way down to Keys.
Not a problem. We're definitely gonna hit you up. So we got it. How could I go down to Florida and not see the Lanai? How could I not go down to Florida and not see that? So I gotta see the Cole Lanai. So
there you go.
But Dragons is RA1642. Yeah, that doesn't help me because I'm not from Florida. I can't tell you how high that is in Florida. Give me altitude, man. Give me altitude in Florida, Dave. Don't give me coordinates. I'm from New York.
Actually, that's a perfect segue, Dan, to what we're going to be talking about, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
We can go right into that, and I can I actually have the PowerPoint right here that Pete put together. and we could do that real quick. And Pete, please feel free to jump in because I know that you are more well versed in this than I am. Please, guys, if you have any 2 cents to throw in, please just say, Dan, stop, hold on, hey, and interrupt. That's fine. But that being said, let's talk about it. And Pete entitled this. Let me do F5. Let's see, slideshow. And from beginning, and there we go. Heaven knows where I'm at. Understanding the different coordinate systems. So that being said, we'll go on to the next slide and say, well, where am I? So there's a couple of different types of systems, and one is more used than the other. But the first one that we should really go through is the horizon coordinate system. And what this coordinate system does, it specifies the position of celestial objects relative to your horizon. There are a couple of terminologies that go with that, which is altitude and azimuth. Altitude is expressed in degrees. So there's -90 and +90 based on your horizon. So your horizon is 0. Zenith is +90, and through the ground would be -90, right? So azimuth is a circle going clockwise around from 0 to 359 degrees, just like a circle. So 0 will be 0/360, followed by north being at 0, east being at 90, south being 180, and west is 270, right around. The problem with the horizon coordinate system is that it's not convenient for specifying the location of celestial targets because the horizon changes with the progression of the Earth's rotation. The obvious exception here is with the targets close to both celestial poles. We spoke about this once before, these circumpolar constellations. And then there's the equatorial coordinate system. The thing about the equatorial coordinate system is that the targets remain fixed from hour to hour and day to day. So it remains the same regardless of the position on the Earth. Wherever you are at the Earth, the coordinates are going to be the same for each target. So what this does is it allows astronomers to create star maps, and you could apply it to any place on Earth because everything is anticipated because everything is in the same spot. How this is done is that the equatorial system is used to specify the positions based on the latitude and longitude coordinate system. It's the same way that we do the latitude and longitude on Earth. And what we call this is the celestial sphere. And just imagine you have the Earth, and then you have a larger sphere around the Earth with the same type of coordinate system of latitude and longitude. However, the terminology is changed to right ascension and declination. A couple other terms that we're going to go over is the hour angle and local sidereal time. The one issue, and this is not going to affect us in our lifetime, but the one issue with this coordinate system is that they change over extreme long periods of time because precision, and we spoke about this once before or twice before, it's a cyclical rotation of the Earth. It's like a wobble. So just imagine a top. And then when the top slows down, the top of that top gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The Earth has that same wobble. It doesn't get bigger, but over a 26,000-year cycle, it's going to turn that axis around. So later on, grandparents, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, sooner or later, and I could be wrong on this. I'm trying to remember the name of the star that's going to be next. It's not going to be Polaris. Isn't going to be the North Star anymore. I believe it's going to be a star in Pegasus, and I forget which star it is. So if anybody remembers what star it is, let me know.
It's going to be Vega.
No, that wasn't what I remember. But I could be wrong. I took astronomy 20 years ago, and I don't remember what the next pole star is going to be, the one that's bright enough to be a pole star. Because in the north, we're lucky to have pole stars that are bright enough to be pole stars. Polaris is there; it's been there for 20 whatever thousand years. Unfortunately, the southern our fellows in the southern celestial sphere.
Gamma Cephei.
What?
Gamma Cephei.
Gamma Cephei. Okay, that sounds more familiar. But that being said, our southern partners in astrophotography do not. They gotta go to sigma octans to kind of figure things out, and that's not very bright. So precision is definitely going to throw a little thing in there. Keep an eye on it if you have any, Back to the Future skills. So right ascension. So the term right ascension comes from the fact that when viewed from the equator, all stars ascend at right angles to the horizon. The analogy of RA lines on the celestial sphere is the same as longitude lines on the Earth. The longitude line divides the Earth as 360, and the RA lines divide the celestial sphere into 24 hours. So 1 hour equals 15 degrees. The zero longitude passes through Greenwich, England. Those of you may remember this as the GMT line from Greenwich Mean Time, and is a designated reference line for 0 hours, zero longitude here on Earth. For the reference line on the celestial sphere for 0 hours of RA, the use of the vernal equinox is that starting point, and this is the site location on the celestial sphere where the sun crosses the celestial equator during its apparent annual motion against the background stars. So that's a little background on right ascension and going to declination. Declination is the same as, on Earth, that would be latitude. So the latitude here on Earth ranging, again, the declination ranges from positive 90 to negative 90, positive being north of the celestial equator, negative being the south of the celestial equator. Declination of a target is the angle of measurement from the celestial equator at 0 along the meridian line. So the meridian line, and Pete, maybe you could talk about this for a second so I can get some water about the meridian.
Well, basically, the meridian is that if you're kind of standing and looking from the north to the south, it would be an imaginary line that basically would just kind of be right overhead. It will actually peak at the zenith, which is right above you, and then it would just go right through back into the south. So that's what we call meridian.
Awesome. And then the HR angle. Our angle is the westward motion measurement of a target to the meridian. As the target ascends in the east, the hour angle of the objects will be at a negative. At meridian, it will be 0, and as it passes, it'll be positive. So it's really good to know, and me and Pete were talking about this offline. I was saying that, well, our angle, a lot of people don't use anymore because the meridian flip is kind of like calculated for you. And if you're lazy like myself, I don't really need to know it. I mean, Nina knows it for me. But Pete was telling me that, the negative of the negative hour angle is really good. So you could kind of figure out your exposure times. And Pete, maybe you could touch a little bit on that because you were more elegant than I regarding that.
Basically, like the program that I have a tendency to use a lot of is the SkyX Pro. So like you, Dan, is I basically do my planning a couple of months ahead of time. And so what I'll do is I'll say, okay, based upon now, I'm not going to image below 30 degrees below horizon. So from say 30 degrees to zenith is where I'm going to be imaging. So what I'll do is I'll plan what that hour angle is. And so if I decide that I'm going to say maybe shoot 5-minute exposures, 300 seconds, I can rest assured now I can do some rough calculations to say, okay, based upon that 30 degrees above horizon to zenith, that's going to give me X amount of hours. And then I can calculate how many exposures I can get in there before I know that I'm going to have to do a meridian flip. Now, with most telescopes, you can go past meridian before you do a meridian flip, but it's just a good idea to give you a quick calculation that I might be able to say get 20 images, maybe 25 images. So at least it gives you an idea ahead of time of what you're planning for to be able to say, good. So this is kind of what I like to do. So that's the real good idea about why I like hour angle. It's a good system. I don't know if a lot of the Sky charts have that. I do know that the Sky X Pro has it. And it's just it's kind of a program that you can plug in and it'll populate when you want to do it. So you can just click on a celestial target and it will tell you exactly what the hour angle will be prior to it actually hitting meridian. And then if you decide that you want to go ahead and image past meridian, then once again, that's going to be in a positive nomenclature. And then you can kind of image maybe a couple hours past that as well. So it's just a good reference that you can use to determine what your exposure rate is going to be.
Yeah, and just if you're gonna go past the meridian, just know your scope's mount limits on that.
Yeah.
Because you could really start putting your equipment in danger if you go too far past the meridian. Certain mounts can only go certain amount of time past the meridian. Just know your mount limits and make sure that they are entered in whatever acquisition software that you might have, so you won't damage your equipment.
Yep. And you know what, Dan, that brings up a good point that we've talked about quite a bit is that with people who are just getting into the hobby, how do they know what their mount limits are? I mean, we've talked about basically doing dry runs, right? You set up your whole system in your house, maybe for a week or two prior to taking it outside. You get so familiar with your equipment that what you can do is you can actually set your eastern limits and your western limits. And literally what you do is you just go ahead and you say, okay, how far can I push it before I know that I'm going to actually have the telescope either hit the tripod or hit the mount. In that case, then you back it off just a little bit. And those are going to be your eastern limits. And then you do the same thing. You just slew the scope over to the west and you say, okay, how far can I go? Back it off, just a safety fudge, and say, okay, that's going to be my factor that I'm going to say is my western scope limit. And then that's what you do. So you just practice and just get familiar with your setup and your equipment inside as a dry run.
Yeah, I mean that's huge because God forbid, you get too close to your pier or your tripod leg or whatever, and the next thing you know, things are not good.
Now,
Yeah.
somebody brought up a comment about a fork mount, and you're absolutely right. Fork mounts, you don't have issues with meridian flips, but you do
Right.
have basically bottoming out. And what bottoming out means is by the time you've got an SCT that's got your whole optical train and your camera, as that target is tracking once again an RA and is getting close to zenith, that means now that whole fork mount is coming down, and you potentially can bottom out on the bottom of that fork. So, as I say, all the equipment has their advantages and their disadvantages. It's something that you just have to feel comfortable with. And as I said, it's just something that you just got to get familiar with your equipment.
Yeah, people are throwing out plane waves and Avalons and stuff like that. Well, you're right. Those L mounts, you don't have to worry about it. There's no meridian flip.
Absolutely.
They
Other
literally.
things.
What's that?
But there's other things like to Pete's point, your point. There's okay, so you don't have the meridian to deal with, but you guys said you have the risk of bottoming out.
Just not with a plane wave. Not with a plane wave.
Not
with
but with other forks. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The fork mounts, you definitely, when you're sitting there and you're in a fork mount, this is what's going to happen. Here's the bottom of the mount, and here's your scope tracking, and it's just going to go camera, and it's just going to hit. Now listen, if you know your mount and you know everything, and if you did exactly what Pete suggested by doing your mount limits, by slewing west, slewing east, doing what you got to do to know your equipment, you could set those in your Nina, in your EQ mod, in your Sequence Generator Pro or the Sky X, that you won't have that problem. It'll recognize you're getting too close, and it'll say, okay, it's time to flip, or it's time to change orientation, depending on what you're doing.
And once again, in the case of the plane waves, by all means, yes, plane wave eliminates that bottoming out and also the potential for actually hitting the mount, but there's a cost incurred, and not everybody can afford an L mount. So, as I said, it's just a matter of, there's always advantages and disadvantages. It's just a matter of getting the best piece of equipment based upon the budget that you got to work with.
I mean, an L350 is like 12 grand. I mean, so, I mean, they're not cheap pieces of equipment, and I guess the normal, I don't want to say normal, but the average astrophotographer out there, you know, CGE pros, Paramounts, that kind of stuff, that's where it kind of stops. And then there's a big gap to plane waves and mounts of that nature, $10,000-$20,000 mounts. And some people have them, but the percentage of people that have them that are watching the show is a lot smaller than the people that have EQ6R Pros and 8R Pros and Ioptron 60s and 70s, and even CGXLs and so on. But that $5,000 to $7,000 range, even $2,000 to $5,000 is where a lot of people kind of stay as far as mounts are concerned, unless if you have something permanent.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lugging this stuff around, you do not want to be lugging around an EQ8R. You don't want to do it. I tried it. I was like, hell no, I'm not doing it. So,
yeah, it's interesting is I do a lot of work at SRO, and you're absolutely right. There is a lot of the plane waves, the 350s, the 500s that are replacing the equatorial mounts. But as I said, for a good portable setup, I mean, once again, it depends upon what you do. Is most people will kind of start out with a portable setup, and then as they get a little older and they accumulate a little bit more funding, they start to kind of think, well, maybe I get the best of both worlds. I might have a portable setup for a grab and go setup, and then maybe have my permanent setup. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it just depends upon what it is that you want to do. And so, believe me, you can do a lot of good imaging with a portable setup. It's just nice that if you had a remote setup where you had a heavier duty mount, that you could put a larger aperture scope. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's the advantage about a remote setup and having something like an SRO where you could literally put a nice setup like a CDK 17 and an L500 mount.
Yeah.
Then you can do galaxies, but for the majority of the people, including myself, I kind of like the portable setup. I just like being able to go out, grab a little setup, set it up for the night, break it down in the morning, and then maybe a week or two and just start going back and just doing your, your post-processing.
Yeah, that's why that's why now I'm bringing 2 rigs with me when I go out to dark skies, and none of them holds anything bigger than an 80 on it. So I got my EQ6R with my 80, and then I got my Exos 2 with my Red Cat setup and the ASI setup. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you're getting a whole bunch of, that's if you're moving around from place to place. Like somebody said in the chat, the CEM, the 120. I set up a 120. That thing's a freaking monster. You're not pulling that around to star parties unless if you have something, you did a little too much LSD in the 80s and you got something going wrong up top, because that's, out of control. That's only die hard people and do that. And God bless them, because you know what? When they do bring them, it's a wonderful sight to look through. But I would not be the one lugging that around. I just wouldn't.
Dan, that brings up a good point. Is that for the majority of the people that are getting in the hobby, it's going to be a budget system. And then as they kind of grow into the hobby, they kind of start to kind of say, maybe I can get a little bit better. Maybe I get a harmonic drive mount. But as I said, if you truly want to do some really good stuff, rather than spending a ton of money and getting a heavy duty, high precision mount, just join something like iTelescopes. I mean, my God, you can just go in there for I don't know how many dollars a month, and you've got literally opportunities to use all their mounts, all their telescopes, and you can definitely capture as much data as you can. In the long run, you won't have to spend the $20,000 or the $15,000 that it would take to get a high precision mount and a high end scope. So that's something to really think about. And then from the comfort of your own home, you're controlling that mount in Australia or Chile or the Canary Islands, and you're capturing some, Southern Hemisphere targets, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And people are talking about the Vespera and the Stellina and that type of astrophotography where you just literally set up and go pretty much. And the Vespera and the Stellina and what's the other one? The EV scope and the Unistellar and all that stuff that's coming out. It has a place, and it's like if you got kids or you're doing you just don't have the attention span or the time to dedicate and stuff like that, you could get some really cool results with these things. But again, to Pete's point, there is a cost to these things.
Yeah.
The Vespera is now 2,500, the Stellina is 4,000. I think the Unistellar is somewhere in the $25 to $3,000 range, and it's not cheap for a Red Cat scope with a 183, but it's all built together. It's got battery charger and Wi-Fi and connect with your phone and all that, and you get a convenience thing out of it. And you see good photos, but you're not going to get an APOD out of these. You're not going to get some of these pictures of the week. The odds of you getting a picture of the week with a Stellina or a Vespera, it might be very limited unless you do 20 hours, But wife gave me a green light to install an observatory a few months ago. Good, congratulations to Dylan Bloodstone. I have difficulty processing that I didn't. Yeah, Ernie, I understand your thoughts on that. However, Ernie said that I have difficulty getting motivated to process images that I didn't personally acquire the data for. And yeah, I gotta agree with you on that, Ernie, because even though it's fun to do, like we did with the Tarantula Nebula last year with Telescope Live, I think part of the journey is actually getting the data and knowing that, hey, I set it up. I did everything. I did the polar alignment. I did this. I did that. I figured out my guiding. I did all this stuff. And this is the end result. Kind of like baking a cake and taking that first bite, or making a steak, that lovely tomahawk steak that you spend $200 on. You put it on the grill and you take that first bite, and it's very savory and it's nice. It's the same thing when you're finished with a picture. For me, that it's a done project. It's finished. I'm done, and it's a wonderful feeling. That's my thoughts.
Dan, good point. But how often do we get a chance to actually shoot Southern Hemisphere targets?
And
I mean, how often can we go down and shoot the dragons of Ara? I mean, that is a target that I've always wanted to image. From where I'm at, it's always in the muck. I just can't get it. So
no,
for me, unless I lug all my gear down to the Key or to Chile, so for me, it'd be a lot easier just to go ahead and say, you know what, for how much money I could just, I tell you what would be kind of cool. I'm going to talk to Christian, and I'm going to see if maybe what we could do is we can do a night where we'll do a big spin. One of the prizes for iTelescopes, Alaska, will be whoever wins the wheel will be able to image for a night or 2 nights using one of their telescopes of choice in Chile or in Australia. And then we'll come back and we'll ask this question to that winner and see if he thinks that same thing about, well, I really missed not being able to set it up. But when he sees his image, how he feels about it. So let me work on that, and I'll see what I can do.
Okay, and I know that we had a conversation. I think it was last week. That I and it's an iTelescope whatchamacallit, a competitor, but Telescope Live. For some reason, I must have joined Telescope Live, like when we were doing the Tarantula Nebula as a group. We all took money from the club
Yeah.
we got something like 7 hours worth of data on the Tarantula Nebula in a Border 1 sky. And what happened was I must have joined at a silver level, and I've been accruing credits. I didn't even know it. So I have something like 250 credits over in Telescope Live that I told everybody that I would put out to the group. I would donate it to AstroWorld to get data, and we could do it and sometimes on full moon nights. Nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything. It costs nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost a credit. So we could get all this data and do another picture of the week just from the Telescope Live data that I've accrued. And if anybody wants to purchase any more to put something into the kitty, then we can put it all under. You can make a PayPal thing to myself, and I can buy more data, and we could get that. I would love to do something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, how often would it be? I mean, we've seen the images of the Tarantula Nebula, but how many times have we got a chance to actually do post-processing on it? I mean, sure, you may not set up your scope, you may not do your balancing, you might not do your polar alignment, but guess what? That's already done for you. All you got to do is just collect the data.
Well, here's what we did also. I made sure that we got, because a lot of those telescope, like even iTelescope and Telescope Live and others, SLU, all those, like to kind of throw out there that you don't even have to do anything. It's calibrated lights, and they do the flats, they do the bias, they do the darks, and they calibrate them, and they make the calibrated files available for you to download to post-process as you will. Fine. My thing and our thing for this contest was that we didn't want that. We wanted the uncalibrated photos with the individual darks, flats, and lights, so you had to do it yourself.
Yep.
And they made that available to us, and it's not that they make it available to everybody, but they showed us how to do it, on how to get those darks, flats, and lights. So people had to calibrate it themselves, so they could screw up the calibration and screw up the picture. And from what I remember, right, I think Sean Nielsen got second place on that. And
I think you're right.
I forget who got first place.
Yeah,
I want to say it was Mark Ellis, if I remember right. But that was like 2 years ago. I'd have to go back in the chats and see.
No, you're right.
On the flip side of this,
that's who it was.
Yeah.
On the
So
flip
anyway,
side
as I
of this
said,
analogy of fishing, why go fishing? Get the fish.
well, once again, the fish being data, right? The fish being data, and then once again, post-processing would be the cleaning of the fish,
Right.
and then eating the fish would be basically looking at your finished
The
product.
final product.
Your finished, yeah,
Printing
absolutely.
your photos.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Absolutely.
That's Dave, my buddy Dave. And Dave, Dave, by the way, the fence is in, so come by tomorrow. We'll talk about you building my observatory. So but
So yeah, remember we had God, I forget the gentleman's name, but remember Utah Desert Remote. Remember he was talking about what was his name? I forget. Greg Stocks, that's right. And you've seen his images. I mean, once again, he's in dark skies, and so as I said, there's just truly something to be said about having a portable setup, and if you can afford it, a permanent setup. Even if it's a semi-permanent setup where you got a pier and you've got the mount, and then you could literally cover the mount up and then just put your scope on when you need to. It's the best of both worlds if you could do that.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna look at my image here and see what's going on here, because I haven't looked at it in a while. Ooh, where'd it go? Oh, that's not good.
It seems to me it's like comets, right? How many times do we hear about comets? They're always in the southern hemisphere. we only get one comet, which is that Pan-STARRS 2 years ago.
Yep.
And all the other comets are always in the southern hemisphere. And I keep thinking, I'd like to do some comet imaging, but I never get a chance to image the comets because there's hardly any up here in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, it's oh, that's why. Okay. But yeah, I mean, you know, we don't get a lot. Yeah, we have Pan-STARRS where it went from night to the morning.
Yeah.
And then
That was it.
I mean, the one before that was what, Hayataki or whatever that.
That was that. Yeah, that Japanese name. That was something.
Yep.
But yeah, it seems to me that I get on like a I get on one of those sites and they talk about, oh yeah, this is the comets here, and like at least 6 out of 6 are always in the southern hemisphere. They're never in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You know, a lot of the cool stuff. I mean, God's got an evil sense of humor because, you know, we all live in the northern hemisphere, or a lot of us do, or you know, at least north of the equator. And, you know, with the exception of a couple of people that follow us in the chat, I think I could name the 5 or 6 people that watch us that live under the equator in the southern hemisphere. And all the cool stuff happens in the southern hemisphere. Nothing happens. You know, they got the LMC, the SMC. They got, you know, they got Tarantula. They got Eta Carina. They got, you know, the Dragons of Ara. They got all this stuff going on. And, you know, yeah, we got the Orion Nebula. Yeah, but that's about, you know, really, you know,
the one thing we got on them is we get total eclipses up here.
Yep, that's it. That's it. But let me set up the wheel for a second, because I got to set that up. I haven't set that up yet.
You want to see the ultimate star party rig? You got to check this out.
It's got G-rated.
No. It's G-rated.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Check this thing out.
Make you bigger. There you go.
Oh, the trailer dome?
Oh yeah.
This yeah, but look at the rig. Look at this rig. This is a suspended suspension system for the telescope. So as you're going down the road, it doesn't vibrate. It doesn't bounce. It doesn't vibrate. It's fully suspended hydraulic system that then mount when you get to your destination. The whole thing then comes down and bolts onto that pier, and then that whole thing goes down to the ground. Let's see if there's another picture of that. Where is it? Right? Well, I don't know how well it shows it there, but it goes all the way down to the ground, and it's got a huge tripod section that goes down the ground. It's a mobile pier. It's freaking wild as hell. These are custom built in Scandinavia. Can you imagine what the shipping on that bad boy would be?
I'd go pick it up.
It's in Scandinavia.
That's okay. That's okay. I'd pick it up. I've been there before.
You put it on a boat somewhere.
You know?
Just make sure it's not on that same vessel where all that we sank with all those luxury cars. Remember?
Exactly.
Yeah. These things they're not I mean, for what it is, I think they're looking at $12,000 to $15,000, something like that.
Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's about the same. That's about the price of a PureTech.
Yep.
But this one looks this one's much bigger.
It's gotta be more than that. Oh, it's gotta be more than that.
Yeah. It's gotta be, yeah, because the PureTech, I think a 7x7 PureTech's about 15.
Something like that. Yep. What, the telestation?
Yeah. Because, you know, I've been still, you know, working on trying to get ideas for my observatory, and I was actually surfing and I happened to come across something on Cloudy Nights, an article on a post on Cloudy Nights, not an article. And someone decided to use 80/20 aluminum post. And got a lot of things and panels and aluminum panels from 80/20. So it's not as expensive as pure tech. They're saying it's maybe about to 2/3 about the size. But I mean, you're thinking something like that. That this gentleman built on his own was about 8 by 12, so it was a good size. So that's one of those alternatives when you start thinking about observatories and building material. Wood versus 80/20 or a pure tech and stuff like that. Or a resin shed, which was one other idea I thought about. I'd keep leaning myself towards that 80/20 aluminum material, like a pure tech or something like that, because those, in my opinion, are a bit more sturdy. Don't have to worry, probably a bit cooler,
Yep.
Versus a resin shed or a shed in general or something like that. And more, and I think easier, more adaptable to be moved. You can disassemble an 80/20 aluminum setup much easier, I think, than dealing with other options.
Oh man, so my buddy Dave's got a light pollution problem. He has got some big lights being pointed at him.
You know what's so interesting about this hobby? It's amazing. Is if you look at, let's just use the Palomar Observatory. If you remember Edwin Hubble, what he used to have to do is he used to have to come up in that telescope in the middle of January.
Yep.
January, having that open. It's cold out there. I mean, it's cold. Had to sit up there and image on glass plates to capture data.
Yep.
And here we are in the comfort of our own home with fast optics, fast scopes. We've got now an Eagle, or we've got Nooks, or whatever you want to consider using, that you can be in the comfort of a 75-degree home in the middle of wintertime, and you can have the scope outside. You can capture all your data, go to sleep, come back in the morning, and there's all your data. And all you got to do now is just worry about post-processing.
Yep.
It's just incredible.
I mean,
how
I'm sitting here doing an online show right now. Eric's the same way, where we sit there and we're imaging, doing a live show, and just sitting there and not. I'm looking at it right now.
Looking at my phone and stuff like that. I'm just checking the process and see how things are going.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I got 3 hours worth of data already, and we've been on the show for 119 minutes now. So
yeah, and the funny thing is we still find ways to complain about what we did. And I keep thinking, man, we got to be appreciative of everything that we've got, because man, we've got the best of automation right now, the best of technology that these poor guys, when they had to go through this 50 years ago, back in the 60s, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and now we complain a lot regarding light pollution a lot more than, let's say, even Edwin Hubble or Messier, or Caldwell or Caldwell, all those guys that were looking at stuff in the 1700s and 1800s.
Galileo.
I mean, they were able to kind of use a 50-millimeter scope and be able to see some incredible stuff. But
pretty much everywhere you went around there was a dark. Everywhere you were, it was a dark sky.
Yeah,
you were in a Bortle 2 or Bortle 1.
You didn't have to go anywhere except outside your front lawn and blow out the street light with your breath. And that's all you had to do. But it's definitely it's a different time. It's a different time with different problems. I am sure people in the 18th and 19th century were complaining about whatever they complain about, and we complain about something else. I mean, complaining is relative to what your problems are, and human nature is to bitch. So I mean, that's what we do, and unfortunately, we always find something.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, as you said, everything is relative based upon your time and space and where you're at. Believe me. Case in point, Dan, you've got light pollution. Here, I have fires.
Yep.
Scott,
Yeah.
you got rain.
Yeah.
And Eric's got
Eric, you
wind.
got wind.
So we got
Yeah.
earth,
I got
wind,
wind,
rain, and fire. That's what we got. We
Yeah.
got earth, wind, rain, and fire.
You can imagine, back in the day, looking, somebody, you're doing this with your telescope. I'd be ready to, and if I could go back and I show this to Galileo, you look at this thing, witchcraft.
Yeah.
Witchcraft.
Oh, you're being strung up as a witch, man. You're going to the stake.
What are you talking about? They were going to string him up for being a warlock.
Yep.
They were
Oh,
going
no.
to burn him at the stake because he wouldn't recant against the Roman Catholic Church.
He was house
His
arrested.
idea that the earth went around, the earth actually went around the sun, not the sun around the earth. That theory alone was going to get him murdered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
funny.
You end up like, who is it? Was it Plato or
Copernicus.
Aristotle with the hemlock
No,
in the ear?
Copernicus.
Or
Copernicus
no,
is
no.
Galileo incarcerated because of the church.
No, I was
Yeah.
talking about the hemlock. I was going a couple of centuries before with Plato.
Yeah.
but
the thing is, and I don't want to get up on this soapbox for a long time. Just indulge me for just a second,
Nope.
But that the idea that happened back then, that's not happening today. If you don't believe that that's not happening today, you're completely ignorant. All right. I mean, the science is a lot of modern science today is a religion with a priesthood. And if you don't understand what I mean, search it out for yourself because it's very, very true. I'll give you one quick case in point and then I'll shut up. The speed of light. It was known that the speed of light for ever since Olaf Romer first discovered through the eclipses of Io that light wasn't infinite, that it picked up a speed at its source. It took 50 years before his theories were accepted, right? And then since then, light has been measured over 300 times and getting better and better and better. But there was a couple of physicists in Australia, Barry Setterfield and Trevor Norman, who discovered that the speed of light, by looking at the data, that they noticed that the mean was reducing. And if you don't know what that means, it basically means that the speed of light is slowing down.
Yep.
And that, I'm telling you, people excoriated them. I mean, they ripped them to pieces because all of their theories are based on the speed of light being constant. And if it's not constant, then everything that they've learned is wrong.
Yep. That's true.
Everything we've been taught is just, you should just toss it out the window.
Scott, the earth, she's a flat. The earth, she's a flat.
Yep.
That's
right.
It's definitely interesting when you start to analyze things that haven't been proven yet. And you start kind of ripping them apart and trying to, and that's what scientists do. You have a theory and you either prove or disprove that theory. And
Yep.
it's super important to have that kind of reconciliation with that. And until it's fact, it's not. And it's really important. And so many things have been just thought of as fact because we didn't know any better or didn't have the knowledge to know different. And finally, whether it's 50 years or 100 years or 300 years, finally people are out there, and I gotta say, God bless them all, because they're doing it for almost nickels and dimes and trying to get sourcing and money from the governments and for their projects and everything. And it's really a thankless job being a scientist. And it's really, really tough. My mother-in-law is a scientist in cellular microbiology, and it's really,
I know.
it's tough.
My dad was a PhD chemist. I know. I get it.
I have a
I get it.
PhD in burger
he was
flipping.
one of the ones that he tore me a new one. you know, when I put forth that idea years ago, 15, 20 years ago, that, hey, Dad, have you ever heard about the speed of light slowing down? And he ripped me a new one. And I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's just the way it is. The thing that really burns me about the idea with Trevor Norman and Barry Sutterfield is that once their theory was confirmed that the speed of light was actually slowing down, nobody gave them credit for it.
Of course not.
Nobody gave them credit for it.
Sounds like the creator of the television who got no credit for it.
Yeah. Yep.
But there's been a lot of people that have great inventions and great theories and things that were proven that get zero credit for it, and it gets taken over by either big business or big heads.
Big heads.
Well, I mean, you think about what that does to our field, that the hobby that we enjoy. The speed of light is slowing down. That throws the whole redshift thing right in the toilet.
I'm colorblind. It's fine. But Eric, you were trying to say something.
I was saying, didn't Tegan send something out about he was imaging the veil and he realized that something was a double star?
Yeah, Beta Cygni, was it? Cygni 52.
Is it Cygni? Yeah, 52 Cygni.
52 Cygni.
Yeah, that he's got something going on where he was thinking, that it could be a double.
And, it is a confirmed double. It has been a double for a long time. I did not know this. I'm not saying that I knew any of this.
Nor did I.
But when he said that, I looked it up. I went right on Google and I was like, what the hell? Is this true? And I was like looking and I was Googling up, and sure enough, Cygni 52 does have a double, and he imaged it, and it was pretty cool.
Is it really a tight double?
It's right in the star glare. I mean, you gotta super be zoomed in to see it. This isn't like a Polaris double or a double in Lyra. This is something with a really bright star that is it's kind of like what is it?
Sirius B.
Sirius B. Thank you. Yeah, Sirius B. Yeah, because Sirius B, you only see. I mean, we're not going to see it anymore in my lifetime. What?
But no. Now you can. It's at the point right now where if you had a long focal length scope, you can actually see it. It's at that point.
Can you still see it? Because I remember when it popped out, I thought it was gone. So maybe not. But it only happens very, very long periods of time, because it does revolve around the back, and then when it's in the front, it's in the star glare. But it's kind of like if you haven't seen the double in Lyra with a long focal length telescope, it's actually pretty cool. At low power, it looks like one star. At medium power, it looks like two stars. Another
beautiful double star, which is blue and kind of a copper color, is Alberio. Probably one of the most beautiful.
Sure. But the double is actually two doubles. And it's 4 stars. I was able to split this one time from New York with an 8-inch Schmidt with a 4mm bar load eyepiece at like 500x, and the skies were just perfect. No, it was perfect. And I got 6 people to verify the double that we were there that night. And I made them all sign a piece of paper saying that this was the power, this is where we were, and we saw the double in an 8-inch scope in New York at Bortle, whatever. But what is an eyepiece? I don't know. It's something that we used to look at stars. I don't know. I don't do it anymore. I sold all mine with the exception of my 27 Panoptic. That's the only thing I kept.
Hey, not for nothing, but go check out Amy Astro's one of her newer videos. She talks about the new Celestron Dob that with the star sense and her whole setup. She did a really good job with it. It's a 2-part where she builds it in the one, and then she sets it up and gets it going in the next one. It's really good. She's really excited about it. It's good. It's a good video. I watched it.
Yeah, that's a really nifty Dob, but we have them in the store. and it goes 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch, if I remember right.
Hmm.
And it has all the star sense capabilities. So it has like the bracket for your phone. It's got a mirror that reflects the starlight into your camera, so it plate
Yep.
solves, and it's under $1,000. And
Yeah, it's a cool little system
yeah,
for like doing observatory stuff. Can you
yep.
imagine that setting
Mhm.
that up with kids? Oh, that'd be awesome with
Oh,
kids.
it's awesome. And you know what? I used to do the same with my 12-inch XXI, which is a push to, because it's nice and easy. But this takes it a step further,
Yeah.
where you got the map of the stars, and you click on it, and you click on whatever you want to see, and it gives you arrows to where to push it.
Yeah, and you just kind of move it
Yep.
until you get it centered, and bingo, you're there.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
a child could run it.
it's pretty darn accurate. I've used them. It's pretty
Mhm.
accurate. And for less than $1,000 for a light bucket that kind of, that has a push to
Yeah.
that uses your cell phone. The only downfall to that is, and I've done this, if you get a phone call while you're moving the scope, and now you gotta kind of wait, you gotta learn it, and sometimes if the app crashes, you need to do your entire calibration all over again.
Yeah, then there's a very easy way to avoid that. Just put the phone in airplane mode.
Or use a crappy iPhone 4 that you were sitting in a drawer for the
Yeah,
past 10
something
years.
that's not connected cellular, sure.
Yeah. Hey, so it's 11:55. Let's spin the wheel for these books, because
Really?
no, it's 10:55, not 11:55.
I was gonna say, good God.
Yeah, this went really, really, really fast, and it was a
11 o'clock.
good
Okay.
good participation by all, including everybody in the chat. So thank you so much for everybody. So let's spin the wheel real quick, and before everything crashes on me. So let's here's the wheel. So this first one, let me grab a book and let's see. So this first one we're going to be doing is for the autograph version, and I'll show it to everybody. The autograph version of the Astrophotography Sky Atlas by Charles Bracken, who has been on the show once already and is going to be making a return before the end of the year. He's become a very big fan of the show, and he was one of the probably top 3 shows that we had with people that were on, as far as viewed and watching and all that kind of stuff. So this, we already gave the Deep Sky Imaging Primer away, so we have the last 2 books to give away, and this is the first one, the Astrophotography Sky Atlas. Let's go back to the wheel, and we have 86 people that have signed up for this. So, do you guys remember when these wheels only had like 20 people on them?
Yeah.
You can actually read the names.
I think we're
Yeah.
almost at 100 for every single wheel. I think we are. So
I get my glasses now to read the names.
it's crazy. We gotta wait for it to pop up. So here's the first one again for the Astrophotography Sky Atlas, and the winner is John Parker. Congratulations to John. And John Parker will get an email from me regarding the Astrophotography Sky Atlas, and need your address and everything to kind of ship it to you, plus the lovely PayPal invoice for the shipping for when you let me know. And if it's in New York, then obviously I won't ship it. I'll just give it to you. So John Parker gets the Astrophotography. I'm writing this down. Sky Atlas. All right. The next one is, and we'll remove John from this because you can't win twice, so we'll remove him from that. And then the next one is the Astrophotography Planner. And for those of you that don't know, and Eric was one of the people that have purchased it from Charles, if you send an email to Charles Bracken for, I think, $10, Eric?
20.
Oh, it's 20 now. $20. This book is set for the 30th, 40th, and 50th latitude parts. But if you want one that's a little bit more specific, that's for your latitude, for your house. He will make up a planner for you for $20 and email it to you in a PDF or your latitude. So if you don't win tonight and you want something, it gives you a nice little chart of a lot of different objects in the sky, and it's really, really cool. So let's spin the wheel for that. And this again, the Astrophotography Planner, 2nd edition. Here we go. And the winner is Susan Vieira. Congratulations to Susan. Susan Vieira gets the planner. So congratulations to Susan. Thank you so much for being a part of the Charles Bracken giveaways. That is actually the last one of the giveaways for Charles Bracken for now. You know, and we also have this month, we have to give away the Russell Croman licenses for Star Exterminator and what was the other one? Star Exterminator and Noise Exterminator. So we got a couple of licenses from him that we're going to be giving away. Probably we might do it in October actually, because we don't have anything going on in October. But these will be going out. Everybody who won, congratulations, and you will get an email tomorrow from me. So
those are PI plugins.
Yeah. Well,
they're all plugins.
If you want a Photoshop plugin, that's fine. Just let Charles know. I'll put you on the email link with Charles. And if you want a Photoshop plugin as opposed to the PI plugin, I'm sure he will accommodate that as well. That's not an issue. All right.
Excellent.
So that is the planner, and that is the Sky Atlas. So congratulations to Susan and John. It's been a hell of a show, guys.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. What do we got going on in chat? Anybody going in chat? Global warming.
Going up to the mountains of Banff. Yeah, it's beautiful up there.
Yeah, and if anybody's going to the Cherries at the Black Forest Star Party later on this month, I guess I'm actually working it because Camera Concepts is going to be there. And I'll actually be working it with another person that works there with me. And I'll be there, rain or shine. So apparently we're going to go down there. So it's going to be pretty awesome. Hopefully we get some clear skies. If not, we'll still be there. So we can sell you all the dew straps you ever need. So feel free to come and say hi. And it's been a lot of fun. We had almost 41 people coming on. So no, Scott, rain or shine, we'll be there. We're leaving Thursday. We'll be there Thursday evening. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, leave Sunday. Whether rain or shine. So that's I said if it's cloudy, why am I gonna bother going? Just like, no, you're going because you know they're expecting us to be there. So we're gonna be there.
Excellent. Norm was asking about the camera that didn't get claimed. Whatever happened to that?
I still have it. Shoot, it's in the box. It's right here.
Well,
I still have it.
Next week. We'll spin that puppy next week.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
3 times. Again. 3 times. Unclaimed. Nobody wants this camera. This is the IMX 464, the Neptune camera. Unclaimed. It's gonna go. I'm gonna send it to the Office of Unclaimed Funds.
That's the planetary one, right?
Yep, planetary camera from Player One. Yep, used once, and this was donated to us by Tyler Bowman from Explore Scientific. Thank you to Tyler, but we just can't get rid of this thing. We just may make a new wheel.
I think we've got a new viewer in DIY NASA.
Yeah, it looks like my buddy Eddie from Pittsburgh got DIY NASA. I guess it's a friend of his. But congratulations to welcome DIY.
Yeah. Welcome. Appreciate everybody hopping on.
All right. Well, it's 11 o'clock, fellas.
It is.
And I think
It
it's
is.
time to take a nap. I got to check out my scope and see what's going on. And hopefully I can set my rain alarm on and not get woken up. And put my alarm on, make sure no one steals my scope.
I am so glad I
Eric,
don't live in an area where that's a problem anymore.
We should talk about that really quick. About the 2 donations that we're thinking about doing.
Oh, yes.
We should really talk about that really quick. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about yours first and then talk about mine second, and we're going to do both. But you know, maybe go ahead, start it off. I've talked enough. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I had actually received some when I was putting up some items up for sale, and I was actually contacted by a charity that is, or a nonprofit that is run by vets that is out of Tucson, Arizona. And the name of it is, I believe it's called Reach for the Stars. And they work with a lot of children. They work with a lot of kids. It's kids outreach. A lot of kids who are also, you know, that have also gone through personal struggles. And it was something that it really got to me. That unfortunately I wasn't able to, because it was already gone. But I want to be able to bring in, and I've reached out to them so they could be a part of the show, so I could get them onto the show, because I would really like them to talk a little bit about who they are, what their nonprofit is, and give us a little bit more and share a little bit more information, because they do monthly star parties. They have a lot of people. I think he said they have sometimes as many as about 150 people at these star parties, and they're doing so many different things. So they're looking for help they're looking for either monetary help or equipment help of pre-owned equipment, stuff like that, that, you know, they can get donated to them. And so I thought, hey, why don't we do something, you know, one better? I can get them to, you know, if I can get Carlos, who is the CEO and the co-founder, if I can get maybe him or one of the other representatives of, you know, Reach for the Stars on the show to share a little bit, I would love for us to have an opportunity to do something such as maybe some sort of a fundraiser to help them achieve achieve their goals of trying to bring astronomy to these kids, and through outreach and everything. And I think it's a fantastic idea. So I'll keep everyone started. I'll keep everyone updated, rather, as far as, you know, my communications with Carlos. So, you know, and try to set something up to bring him on. So we can learn a little bit more and see if we can maybe do something to help out what he's trying to do, because I think it's quite admirable.
Yeah, and you know, probably Monday or so, I could probably get it up on the website. So if anybody wants to make a donation to that cause, they could do that through our website, and you will get it'll be a donation from everybody at AstroWorld, and your name will be on the list and all that kind of stuff. So everyone will get credit for what credit's due. But if you want to make a donation that's not through AstroWorld, we'll put the link there as well, so you can help out in any way that you can, because it's super important. And I read up on that when you showed it to me, Eric, and it's really quite an interesting way to battle some issues that are out there, and it's a different way of combating those issues. And I thought putting astronomy and visual astronomy into that whole segue. It was quite an interesting way to kind of do that. So it's pretty
For sure.
fascinating. So that's one of the things that and somebody and I excuse me, I don't remember who put this on the Discord channel, but I somebody told me about this, and apparently somebody burglarized a public observatory in Lima, and it's unfortunate that their C-14 was stolen right off the mount, um, and all their eyepieces. Explore Scientific Teleview eyepiece collection were all stolen from the observatory, and they're trying to recoup. And the scope itself is, 10 grand, not to mention the eyepiece. So, everyone's trying to kind of, and I looked it up. It's legit. It was in the news from Lima. And if anybody wants to make a donation to that as well, I'm going to be putting something up on the website, where you sign up for the giveaways as far as donations, how to help them as well. So they'll be right next to each other. So you can choose both of them. You could choose one of them. You could do whatever you want. But I think it'd be a great idea if we could kind of do it as a group to help out both organizations in order to kind of help and recoup lost equipment. So that being said,
And may the schmuck that stole the telescope have permanent clouds.
there you go. It's really, a shame when people kind of do that kind of stuff, especially when it's a public observatory. You know what I mean? Where they're dependent on not only their equipment but donations to survive. you know. And but anyway, that being said, so I'll put that both on the website, so you could choose whatever organization you want to donate to, if you want to at all. So I mean, I think
if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something that, it's a darn shame about what happened to this observatory. You try to do something good. You try to bring, something, to people to, for appreciation, and to take another look at, instead of just looking at our little, blue ball here, to expand their minds and have, and just do outreach and just do certain things nice for people. And it's a shame that these things happen, and people, and this stuff has to happen.
May the thief who did so do some solar observation without a filter.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I guess just running. That being said, let's run around for some final thoughts. And you know what, Eric, let's bring this up again next Wednesday, a little bit earlier
Absolutely.
in the show, because you know how it is. You spin the wheel, everyone bolts. So we brought this up.
Maybe we do it. Yeah, maybe we do it just soon after our sponsors and stuff like that.
Exactly. And I'll have the website all set up for that as well. So for Wednesday of next week. So all right. So final thoughts. Let's do a little round robin real quick, and we'll all go take a nap. So Eric.
No, again, thanks everybody for their participation. And we really appreciate the continued support of our show and what we're trying to do. And, I wish everybody, clear skies and get out imaging if you can. I know a lot of us, because of weather or, fire or what have you, we can't do that. But the ones that can, try to get out there and have some fun and enjoy the night sky.
Absolutely. Peter?
Well, just a shout out to all the viewer membership. I mean, we're only as good as how many members we get in. And so far, we're roughly around about 40, 41. So by all means, please spread the word to friends, family, acquaintances, girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, ex-wives. We enjoy the show. So the more that you get involved in it and ask us questions, the more we really take a delight in enjoying this. So truly a shout out and a thank you to our viewer membership.
Absolutely. Scotty?
And definitely go and support our other members, like Tegan, Rocky Mountain Astro, Eric's channel, our good buddy Sean. Go watch and support Sean Nielsen. He's got some fabulous stuff on his show. There's all kinds of wonderful YouTube channels out there. Be a part of that growing Astro community. We love what we do here, and people like that just enrich what we do. So go and support them.
Yep, for sure.
I just have to echo that. I mean, Sean is definitely a great fan and a great friend of the show.
Yep.
And definitely support him. If you don't know Sean and you're starting to go on this astrophotography journey of learning post-processing and image acquisition, check out Visible Dark, and definitely check him out, because he's a great resource, as long as all the other all the other people on YouTube that are out there and throwing themselves out there to help us and everybody else get better, because that's what they're doing it for. And then they're very, very selfless with their time. It's really nice to be in a community like this that is that way, because there are not a lot of communities out there. Most people are very cutthroat, and this hobby, at least in my experience, is far from that. So Duran. Oh yeah. Apparently Sean put a music video on of a Duran Duran song and him playing guitar. So it's Ordinary World, I think it was. But anyway, everybody, have a good night. We're well over our 2-hour mark, and thank you everybody for coming by. Congratulations to John and Susan, our winners of the Charles Bracken Books. And be around in 2 days. You're up for a real treat. We have Nico Carver coming in, gonna hang out with us for a couple hours, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, because I've never met him, and I'm
a big fan, and and
now my number of people who I've met is now going to decrease by 1, because there's only like 2 or 3 people on my list that I haven't met yet. At least I've seen one, never met, and I've never met Dylan O'Donnell, but that may wait a while. Hey, Sean, I hope you heard our plug for Visible Dark. You're just coming on now, so I see you're in the chat now. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Come on Friday night, hang out with us, and remember, as always, keep imaging, keep educating, and I can't say clear skies because PhD is beeping in my cans right now. But clear skies, and have a good night, and we'll see you in 2 days with Nico Carver. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you guys.